Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us. So today we're going to be looking at Evolve Corporate Records. And just by way of introduction, we've got Tara Donnelly joining us here in Belfast with us, and we've also got Jean Van Buren from Alfresco joining us from down the line. So hi Tara, hi Jean.
Hi.
So I want to just give a quick overview of really where we've come from as an organization. So with regards to ECM, so electronic content management or electronic document management, electronic records management, so you'll hear ECM, EDM, EDRM as various relatively interchangeable terms. This is something that we've been doing for quite a few years. So Evolve is part of the Kainos group of companies, and as such Kainos has been working within the enterprise content management realm for 20 plus years. We've got a long and very strong pedigree of implementation of ECM projects. And actually in the late 90s, early millennium, we actually developed our own product that we spun out as a separate company in 2001 called Meridio. And Evolve, then the offering into clinical organizations and care organizations, was actually born out of the Kainos Enterprise Content Management team back in 2008. So we started out life providing an electronic document and records management solution for Ipswich Hospital NHS Trust in England in 2008, 2009, and since then we've grown rapidly. So we're now in 33 trusts in the UK NHS, and we also have recently acquired customers in the US, in Europe, and in Australia as well. So it's a very exciting time for us, but it also proves the strength of that long history that Evolve and then further back Kainos have with basically providing solutions for customers, that have a lot of information, be it clinical or be it corporate that we're going to talk about today, how to manage that information, how to share that information with the appropriate people at the right point in time, and how to help those organizations be more efficient, to do more with less resources, to structure their business working practices through electronic forms, through workflow, so that the right people have the right information at the right point in time. So today we're joined by Jean Van Buren from Alfresco, and Alfresco is a relatively new partner within Evolve, and Alfresco actually power the underlying Evolve integrated care platform, our new offering that's all about bringing the patient's information, the carers for that patient together so that everybody has access to the care information for that patient. And it's Alfresco 1 is providing the document and records management for that solution, and Alfresco Activity providing the electronic forms and workflow as well. And so today what we actually want to talk about is using Alfresco to manage your corporate information. So your HR, your finance, your estates department, how can we actually use the underlying power of Alfresco 1 to actually store and manage what is largely very unstructured information within organizations. And so in these webinars, if you've attended before, we always like to make them interactive. So as we heard earlier, please do submit questions at any time, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end where we'll look at those. But we also like to have a few polls as we go along, just to gauge where you're at with your information management. And so our first poll is, what are your main challenges around corporate records management? So if we look at a few of the options here, and you can select as many as you wish, this could be a multiple answer one. Are you simply struggling with drowning in paper? Do you have too much paper causing storage issues and causing inefficiencies? Or is it that your processes, your business processes aren't particularly well defined, they're not being adhered to, there's a lot of inconsistency, we're not tracking them very well? Do you simply have too many unintegrated systems? And so certainly when we look at the clinical world, clinicians are drowning in healthcare systems, so we need to bring them together, which is why the Evolve Integrated Care Platform was built. Well, within the corporate world, is it just the same? Are you drowning in too many systems? Or are your workers spending too much time trying to find information? I know I created an email about that. I know that I've got a presentation somewhere. Let's take the next half hour to wade through our shares to actually find that information. It happens all too often. So if we take a few seconds just to answer those, and then we'll have a look at the results. And certainly I can see that the results are coming in, so please do take a second, and again you can select one or more answers. So have you got too much paper? Are your processes not defined or being followed? Do you just have too many systems, or can you simply not find stuff? Or the last option actually, and I didn't even mention it because nobody's selected it so far. No, everything is absolutely sweet. We've got no problems whatsoever. Aren't we great? I would be surprised if you answered that because we're running a webinar about it today. So let's have a look at the answers for that. So if we share the results, so interestingly, yep, too many unintegrated systems. So too many systems that have started out as a good idea at the time, but become yet another silo of information that we have to manage, we have to log into. We have different UIs and different ways of finding information. And then again, how to find that information, you know, your knowledge management, how to search on it. And then half of you have still got a lot of paper sloshing around the corporate world and a lot of unstructured information. And then all of us, again, 40% of the responses, lots of processes that aren't well defined and that aren't consistent across the board. And these are the very challenges that Kainos and then laterally Evolve have been set to address and have been addressing for our customers for 20 plus and probably closer to 30 years now. And so with that, I'm going to hand over to Tara Donnelly. Tara works within the Kainos Enterprise Content Management team. She's a lead specialist and she's a lot of experience in working with customers to see what is your current state of play with your corporate information, what can we introduce to help you manage that information, and crucially, how do we implement that? How do we take that? Because it's not good enough just to lump in a new technology solution that's going to become another silo. How do we implement that properly so that everybody actually gains the proposed benefits? Tara.
Hi everybody. As Colin kindly introduced me, I'm Tara Donnelly. I've been with Kainos for 12 years and have always had a passion in the EDRM world. I've been on projects in all aspects of the solution design and delivery. I've worked with a vast number of clients, helping them to get over their document management hurdles, their process hurdles, and taking them from quite a scary place at times and get them to a position where they have a good grounding and a solution that is going to help them with regards to, as you've said in the poll, your process definition, getting away from paper silos, getting away from not being able to find your information. And never mind whether it's NHS, whether it's corporate, whether it's councils, every organisation that we have come across has exactly the same problem, whether that be an overabundance of documents in file shares, whether it's that information is unclassified and they're not compliant. And our customers typically want to get something from an EDRM that's secure and easy to use. We can see from the screen, people put information into a system with the need to get that back and to be able to trust that system that it's secure. Paper can get lost in the system. Even unstructured data in a file share can just disappear, and you need to be able to find your information. This is where Kainos can help you. Now, the deployment of an EDRMS is not trivial, but we can help you through this from start to finish through every stream of work. Our consultants, they will bridge the gap between your business and the technical requirements. We want to be a one-stop shop. We want to help you build a system that will integrate with other platforms in your organisation, and we can help you with your CRM, with your managed cloud, with your virtualization. We can get from the stage of defining your requirements and bring you right through to delivering a solution that is fit for purpose and that will benefit your end users. But we won't leave you at that stage. Post-go live, we are going to be there to support you. We do the full package. We will take you from inception right through to many, many years after delivery. Our support services, we can support your solution, can support your infrastructure, can help you with your security models, and just generally make sure that everything is working well for your customers.
And that's actually something that has always come out in our customer satisfaction surveys. So we run a customer satisfaction survey at least once a year, and consistently we are always scoring on high or very, very high on our ongoing levels of support. So it's not just that we will put in a new IT system and say, right, have at it, off you go. It's taking you through getting the most out of that across the long term and your even longer term support needs.
So taking a look at our experience in ECM, it's not just about documents. This is the whole package, from scanning, your search, your integration with other line of business applications, right through to things like case management, web content management, workflow. We have done it all. With regards to scanning, we partner with Kofax, and we can work with many, many different vendors to give you a comprehensive search solution or scan solution. Our search is enterprise scale with regards to metadata, index optimization, making sure that you will be able to find your information as quickly as possible. We integrate with many line of business applications, including Swift and SAP, and we can even integrate with your custom database solutions that you may have developed in-house.
And that's a very important one, actually, because ECM is part of the wider Kainos offering, but actually Kainos do integration, and that's been our bread and butter for 30 years now. It's integrating
Absolutely.
with systems. So it's very, very rare that we would find a system that we really would struggle to integrate
That's
with.
True. Bringing it back to case management again, case management doesn't just have to be about patients. We've done case management for Oxfordshire Fire Service, where they wanted to take their paper property documents and put those into an electronic format so firemen could take that out on site. But we then done it in a social services aspect, where for Oxfordshire we provided integration with an adult services platform and given them a case management solution there as well. At all times, case management needs to be compliant, and we always have our full records management capability in the background. For web content management, we can provide integration with third-party products, for example, Electron, Drupal, any large-scale product, and just build out that service, build out that functionality. As Colin said, we have been in the ECM game for a long, long time. I myself have been here 12 years and have been involved in a wide variety of customer deployments. But we are in quite a good position where we're only one of a handful of suppliers on the OGC Buying Solutions framework for EDRM. We are in a really good position there. We've got a lot of experience. Our people are the reason that we are so successful at our deliveries. All of our people are degree educated, and they're fully trained to an exceptional degree in every element of the ECM product suite. As Colin mentioned as well about the long-standing relationships that we have with our customers, this isn't just a delivery that we would drop and run from. We build a relationship over the course of many, many years, and that also strengthens the business knowledge of our consultants. Just a quick view of some of our corporate records customers, and you can see here they are across a wide variety of business areas, whether that be central government, local government, even financial services in the private sector. Some of the key ones I'll just draw out. For Oxfordshire County Council, we've done a very extensive migration and case management study or platform for them. They were on an old IBM ECM platform, and we provided migration services and got 2,500 users onto a brand new compliant ECM. For TransLink in the private sector, TransLink actually didn't have any kind of ECM system prior to Kainos going on site. All of their information was actually stored just within file shares. So we have gone on site, worked with their business and got a really comprehensive understanding of how their business works, what their records management needs were, and actually designed from the ground up their entire corporate records strategy and implemented that successfully. And just one more, I'd just draw your attention there to the Eastern Health Board, which was known at the time as EHSSB. We went in there and we wanted to deliver a solution that was going to assist them in reducing the amount of paper that was being processed. There was a huge amount of time being spent in trying to locate data and locate files within the organisation. And by giving them a fully digitized solution where they actually digitized the paper themselves, we gave them the framework to do that. Their business processes were sped up drastically, but they also wanted to give support to mobile working. And as part of our delivery, we provided a pilot for a BlackBerry solution for them as well. The same kind of mobile solution can be repeated for Android, for iPhones, any Apple technologies, but that was something that was really key for them at that stage.
And certainly when you look at these, you look at it, especially up towards the top there, Tara, you look at the central government, we've got some major names here. You've got the Home Office, Cabinet Office, Ministry of Defence. So again, it speaks to the calibre of our people and the calibre of our solutions that we're able to go into some very highly visible projects in highly visible organizations and repeatedly deliver what we promise and get those solutions in, get the people using them, and then long-term support them with high customer satisfaction rates. And again, it's a glowing endorsement of the organization and our depth of knowledge and experience, I guess.
When it comes to what we actually deliver as part of our solutions, we can see down the right-hand side, we have got such a strong partnership with some of the market leaders out there. We are a platinum partner with Alfresco. We have got a wealth of experience using K2 for our workflows, with Kofax, with our scanning solutions. You can see down the left-hand side, the features of an information management solution do not stop at the documents and records management. That is just a small part of it. We need this solution to benefit your organisation in every way possible, whether that be providing new ways to collaborate with your colleagues. How do you get people in disparate locations to work on a document together? How do you maintain a good audit trail? How do you maintain security of your information within the organisation? These are all the things that we can deliver as part of an information management solution. Some of the benefits, yes, absolutely. We can make life easier for your end users. We can save man hours by finding information. We can make sure that you are compliant in every possible scenario with regards to the security of your information, with regards to how long you retain your information for, and as we mentioned, auditability is huge. Why Kainos? We keep coming back to our people are the key to our success. We are highly trained, highly motivated, highly dedicated, and we know what we're doing, and we will support you in every way possible. We want our deliveries to be a partnership, and as you can see from our approach, we want to be flexible and client-focused. Your needs are paramount at every stage of our deliveries. We will work with you from very early on in the project. We will work in we will have collaborative workshops. We can ensure that you are participating. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really important one. Actually, it's always been that approach of, again, we're not coming in. We will come in with best practice, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Because we know what people have done about it before, but we're not coming in with a straight-jacket spreadsheet.
Oh no.
It's, you know, we take people through here's what's been done before, here's what's worked, here's what hasn't worked, and here's the stuff you avoid. But it's that idea of the collaborative approach that I've seen personally work time and time again, and I know that you have, because I know that you developed a lot of the procedures, have seen time and time again in these projects.
So here's an example of actually one of our approaches. So you can see here that we're going through various different phases of the project life cycle. So we're starting in a scoping phase where we would have a shared expectations workshop. That just sets the scene for how we anticipate working together throughout the project. We will then go into our initiation and planning phase. That's just really setting expectations of who we need at what stage of the project. Then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. We work in collaboration with your technical teams and your business users to ensure that at every stage of the analysis, the right people are feeding information into the process. It's all about working together in a workshop environment. We just don't dump blank worksheets with you and say, go and find out that information. We are there to help you at every step of the way. After we've got our information gathered and analysis, then we're going to move on to what we classify as a model office. Some people call it a pilot. It's a way of getting a true representation of what your final system is going to be, a hands-on application of the configuration to date, to see whether it suits the business, to see whether it works, and you can get your end users in at that stage to make sure that everyone's happy and your processes are being followed.
And that's always been a really important one for us in the clinical side, actually. What we would call a model clinic, model hospital has been termed, where again we take a room, we put in the equipment, we put in a relatively vanilla system, and we let users come in and actually, you know, do their job and point out where we're not getting things right, where things need to change, where maybe assumptions that were made by people in both the customer team and our own team have made assumptions that maybe haven't played out. An incredibly crucial part of the user acceptance side of things, getting the users comfortable with the system, so it can also be used as a little bit of informal training, but then also making sure that that crucial configuration is exactly spot on.
It de-risks everything.
Yeah.
If everybody can see the solution or the potential solution at a very early stage, it makes the possibility and the expectation of success, it's huge. It's a huge benefit. Once we've gone through that model office, then there will be a period of formal UAT, signing off of the actual configuration, and then we go to deployment. Now, during the deployment stage, we really want to be hands-on with yourselves. We do a lot of floor walking during the deployment. That it's not a case that we are just going to drop this and run. We can help train your end users. We have a full suite of training options for yourselves. You know, we can do a train the trainer, we can do a formal end user, but we want to impart knowledge at every stage. And actually, the knowledge sharing is huge during every phase of this. You know, that we will be trying to impart knowledge, do a lot of handovers during the builds. You know, that even your tech teams who will be supporting this going forward, they're not just left with a new system that they're unfamiliar with. We want to ensure that everyone's empowered to use this to the best of their ability.
Yeah, and again, I suppose that's back to our model. It's not that we want to have you on the hook and completely dependent upon us forevermore. It's trying to ensure that your teams are as best equipped as they possibly can be to actually do that first level of support themselves. So it's all about, you know, knowledge sharing and empowerment, really.
Now, this timeline, the timeline can vary massively from client to client, and to be honest, it's to do with, you know, the complexity of the the information architecture. It could be to do with the size of the organisation, or even the amount of data and the number of systems that they're migrating from. But that being said, typically scoping analysis can take anywhere between about 2 weeks to 4 weeks. Analysis, which is actually going in and taking a deep dive into the information that's stored in your system, can take about 4 weeks. The construction of the model office and the build, even before the model office event itself, the actual construction of the system is probably the most straightforward for us, because at that stage all of the information has already been gathered. That's normally around the 4-week mark by the time all of our internal testing is done. And then the model office event actually begins. This is when your end users or your selected group of representatives from the business can come in and actually get their hands dirty. That is, the duration of that is going to be up to the customer. But it could be normally between about 4 and 8 weeks. Following that, the UAT is the formal acceptance before the build, can be 2 to 4 weeks depending on issues and changes that have been requested. And then about 4 weeks after that, we would actually have our big bang go live.
And would it always be big bang, or would it be departmental? So that's a good point.
Right. Big bang could be just for a department. It wouldn't necessarily be for the entire organisation. We've done both scenarios. For customers typically who are coming from an existing EDRM, we will do the big bang approach, because they are maybe moving from an existing system and they don't have any option. But for someone who is coming from a world of file shares and paper files, it might be easier for them to do a phased rollout, that they're picking a department to target and see what goes well, what's been hard to do, and they take their lessons learned and then move on through the rest of their departments.
Yeah,
so it's completely flexible, and we have experience of all of that.
And that's perfect, because really, so you can go big bang entire enterprise, you could go just a department, you could even just go a particular process within a department.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So it's all about
it can be, it can be that granular. So just a little example here, a quick one of a very key customer for us. Oxfordshire, I previously mentioned them, they were on IBM Document Manager and wanted to migrate away. And although they had an EDRM framework in place, they wanted to use new technologies that would allow them to integrate with their new line of business or applications such as SAP. They wanted integration at that stage with Swift, which they're actually moved away from, and we have developed a new integration case management solution with Liquid Logic's LAS platform for their adult services. We used a phased approach with this organisation. We started off with their IT department, because IT, perfect pilot, they were really invested in this project from day one. As we mentioned about using the lessons learned, we have then rolled out through HR, through finance, the different corporate entities, and given them a really successful deployment. Another department, or sorry, another organisation that we have done a deployment for was Great Western Hospitals. There were 600 users involved in this deployment, in this actually using this system. It was one of the smaller ECM applications. We used this solution to provide some content management services. So as well as having the corporate records and the records management procedures in there, we were doing the full document lifecycle from inception, collaboration, and using some internal facilities to use workflow processes to approve documents and get those published.
Tara, awesome, thank you. It really, it really shows the depth of knowledge, and also the slightly different approach that maybe some organizations have seen with other suppliers before, where ours is much more collaborative, it's much more knowledge sharing, and more handover based, so it a more let's work together ethos that Kainos, ECM and Evolve would always have. So let's have our second poll. So are you considering corporate records management at present? So is corporate records on your action plan for digital maturity? And is it simply, nope, not even thinking about it at present, maybe this is a very early stage that you're attending today, or yes, but there's no real concrete business case. And certainly we've had experience in the past of helping organizations actually define your business case, looking at the benefits that you can draw out and helping you to work through both defining it and also then the implementation, the realization and the monitoring of your business case. Or yes, you are actively looking at it and you are currently building a business case at present. So we'll take a few more seconds to answer that. And remember that you can send us questions at any stage through your question panel, and we'll be, Tara and Jean, when I hand over to him in a second, of course the Irish gift of the gab, we're running a wee bit over time, we'll hand over to him in a second, but you know, we can take those questions at the end. So another couple of seconds there. So no, you're not thinking about it, yes, but you haven't got the business case, or yes, you are actively looking at it and building a business case. So if we go to close our poll, let's look at the results. So yes, it's on the agenda for lots of people, and I suspect when we look back at the previous answers, it's because there's still a lot of paper sloshing around the organization. There's still processes that aren't being well adhered to. You've got lots of systems, and so users are spending too much time logging in, and also users are critically spending far too much time just trying to find stuff. And then 20% of you aren't including it in your thinking at present. We would challenge that to say, let's work on this, let's look at this, and let's see what the business case is that we can actually build to help you move along that path towards digital maturity.
That's something actually we've done for quite a few customers that are at the same stage as yourselves, you know, that you want to have a corporate record solution but haven't got the business case, that we can go in and actually help you build that business case too. We have that background and ability to do that as an independent.
Fantastic. Okay, so it's my pleasure to hand over at this point to Jean van Buren from Alfresco, and he's going to be talking us through Alfresco 1. Jean, over to you.
Yes, good afternoon everybody, and thank you very much Colin for inviting me on this call. Just a very quick introduction. I am Jean van Buren. I'm responsible for the Alfresco Global Healthcare Division. We're one of the fastest growing divisions within Alfresco. We're doing a lot of investment in healthcare. Me personally, I've been in the EDRMS industry for over 25 years, so started way in the days back at Wang and been through multiple different companies providing similar service. And the interesting fact about this industry, the technology has evolved, but the core requirements to how people need to manage information is very much still the same. It's just new technology elements to go through that. So what I'm going to try and do in the next 20 minutes or so is just go through and give you a good overview of the Alfresco platform. And as Colin said, please do feel free to send any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them at the end. So what I wanted to do is just give you a very quick overview of who Alfresco is. We were founded in 2005 by a gentleman called John Newton, who was the same founder of a company that most people probably be aware of as well, called Documentum. And what he did in 2005 is, if I'm going to start an enterprise content management company again, what are the key things that I'm going to learn from what I've done before, but what do I want to change for the future? And one of the key elements at the time was really to base a new platform based on very modern architecture, very quick deployment, but more importantly, making it very easy for users to adopt and use the technology. Because I think if you look at traditional enterprise content management products in its own right, they tend to be quite complicated to use. The adoption wasn't as good as it should be because it's all very alien to how people need to work. And what I'd like to going to hopefully do in the next few slides to talk a bit more about the product is give you an overview of how we've made it very easy. One of the other key decisions that was made at the time is to actually go open source, and that's really to enable us to define very good quality products by enabling our partner community to take our platforms and extend it out into wider applications and actually have a wider community of developing applications on our platform. Our key route to market is completely through partners, hence why we're on the call here with the Evolve team, is that we believe we can define great products, but we're not necessarily going to be experts in every single industry. So we use our partner channel to help us define solutions on our platform. And as you can see there, we've got 200 plus partners, but we do focus on specific partners in each vertical, and Evolve being one of our key partners in the healthcare space. Our core commercial model is we're a subscription-based company, we're a SaaS company. So the reason we want to point out these slides is that we actually have a 93% customer success rate, which means that we have 90+% customers that actually come back and renew their subscriptions on an annual basis. And that's really because we provide very comprehensive support. That's really how we commercially make our money, is through really the support contracts. And the fact that we have 90+% customers come back on an annual basis is a good proof point that what we provide is enterprise scale support with a lot of high customer satisfaction. Globally, we are 400 plus employees. We are co-headquartered between the UK, which is our Maidenhead office, and our US office in San Mateo, and we do have regional offices around the world. But the good thing for UK-based customers like the NHS, all our engineering is based in the UK, so it's a very useful resource that we can actually get access to our engineering organisation from a UK perspective for our UK customers when we need them. We've got 2,000 plus customers, we've got over 11 million users, and we've actually just recently done a benchmark report where we've got over 1 billion objects in one repository with very quick sub-second response time. So that's just a very brief overview of who Alfresco is as an organisation. One of the first things to talk is where we deployed our platform from a healthcare point of view. There's a number of NHS organisations we've deployed. So starting on the left-hand side of the slide, we've deployed at Liverpool Women's, and we had do two levels of solutions there. We've got both clinical solutions in their emergency admission process, but also in their corporate record side, we manage all their policies and procedures, and all board meeting minutes and information has been managed in Alfresco, and also used to collaborate with some of the external suppliers. Imperial College, we use it for a care pathway. At Sussex Partnership, they deployed Alfresco for both clinical, for integrating into their EMR they got there, which is Kainos, but also more importantly, we do clinical collaboration with all the supporting agencies in the region. As they're being a mental health trust, they do need to collaborate extensively with external organisations around all their information and patient documents. And in the US, we got Mercy Health, which is a large back office deployment for their corporate side. And yeah, every policy and procedure is stored in Alfresco and then managed through a custom front end. They use Drupal as a web front end. But it's actually very important. One of the use cases we explained quite recently is that their policy procedures for example, is if a hurricane or a tornado hits their local communities, they have a policy and procedure process that automatically starts based on feedback that they get from weather systems, because they are in the sort of belt of all the tornadoes, and actually a lot of information you need to know is how to manage and get all the right information to look after their patients, all the key policy procedures they need to follow in case of a tornado hitting one of their facilities. But it's not just healthcare. I also wanted to bring up a couple of slides that we are used of very large-scale enterprise organizations. For example, in the US, it's Nike, we all know they are, and they manage all their brand assets in Alfresco to manage all the information and collaborate with all their suppliers as well. Very large financial services like BNY Mellon, the CSA, and also Cisco. One of the largest deployments where we have is in Cisco organization that manage all their product information in Alfresco. So some very large-scale brand name recognition there as well. So really our vision around how to modernize ECM, what we believe ECM is very key to the market, and we utilize a lot of the IDC statistics here, but one of the key things that we need to look at when we look at deploying ECM, it's got to provide new ways of working. No more is it that people just want to work on-premise within a laptop. Really, it's got to be more mobile. People want to be more access to information on any device at any point in time, and really the key deployment of any ECM platform, they can't allow you flexibility on how you can access that information on multiple different environments, then it really is not going to be a modern deployment. And that's really one of the key focus Alfresco has, is to have that enterprise cross-platform, cross-devices access to all the information in context of what you're looking at, if it's patient, context of patient, etc. But actually also more important is the extended enterprise. I think the reality now of the way that we're all working, it's not just within your organization, so it's not going to be within one trust. Quite often you need to actually collaborate with external suppliers, external organizations. If you've got a maybe external payroll organization, you want to share information and collaborate with, and you might also want to collaborate with other trusts in your local areas and provide information that you need to share across them, and that's really key to be able to do that cross-organizational collaboration from a platform. And the other key thing is that we know that digital information is going to actually grow by 50% by 2020. So if you look at the amount of information you have electronically now, double that and maybe even triple it in the next 10 years' time. And if you don't have an ECM platform, an enterprise content management platform to manage that information and provide organizational structures around information, you're going to end up with content chaos, which is one of the terms that IDC would term as well. And content chaos just means an uncontrolled content in multiple resources, multiple different repositories, and no single means to get access to that information. But one of the other key elements we need to look at is where that content, where that information is going to be kept. You know, today we are still 61% on-premise, and 30%, 13% in the cloud, and there's a grey area in between. So one of the key elements that we talk about is a hybrid platform where you can store information both on-premise but also in the cloud, and a hybrid sync between the two. So you can make information and content available into a secure cloud environment when and how you want at a certain point in time of that information's life cycle. So why Alfresco? So our key design methodology of our platform is based on three key principles: simple, smart, and open. Simple is really to empower the end users to work on any device and have full ownership of the information. One of our design beliefs when you look at Alfresco is that we believe that the enterprise applications today are way behind to the consumer market. What I mean by that is we all have smartphones, we all download apps, we keep integrating to other applications, but when we download an app on our smartphone, we can just use it. We don't need any training. But if you come back to the enterprise, back into organizations, the enterprise applications still require a lot of training. It's very hard to use, and that's why user adoption tends to be very slow on these large-scale enterprise systems. So all our solutions we design, we believe to provide that consumer experience, but on an enterprise scale and back-end platform on any device where you need to have access to information. So if you're a mobile worker out in the field, if you're a community nurse working out across multiple hospitals and you need to get access to information, we can make that available. So that's very key, is on the simple side. But obviously the other key area is the smart. We need to be able to provide more efficient ways of working, more scalable ways of working as well, with a very scalable back-end, and also based on very modern architecture where we can utilize a lot of new technologies that's coming, like working in the cloud, working in a hybrid fashion, and that's key. But even more important is open. Your platform needs to be open to integrate into multiple applications. Any EDRMS or ECM deployment truly on enterprise scale is not on a standalone environment. There are so many other third-party systems that you need to integrate to. If it's in the back office, around your payroll, your HR systems, your financial systems, your estate systems, we need to integrate with that, because the reality is that these got front-end applications or environments you need to work on, but there's a lot of content associated to those applications. What you don't want to do, once again, is store all that content in a siloed environment. You want to make that available to all these different applications. So that's the three key principles of Alfresco: simple, smart, and open. But it really comes to the next level down is really to provide, how do you provide access to the Alfresco repository? And one of the great beliefs that we have at Alfresco is we don't want to be descriptive to our end users how they have to use us. We believe you need to provide access to the tools of choice. So for example, if you look at the left-hand side, if it's our productivity applications, well, we provide full integration to the Microsoft Office, SharePoint, even Google Docs environment. Really meaning that if you're working in Office and say, for example, you write in Word and you want to create a Word document from a template, what will enable you to do is directly from Word save directly into the Alfresco repository. So you don't really need to go into a different application, learn a new different front end to access and navigate the system. What we'll do is expose the Alfresco repository as folders into the Office environment, and you can simply store from Office directly into the environment. Very simple. And SharePoint as well, quite often we sit behind SharePoint as a repository as well, and very similar to Google Docs. But actually quite very important as well is your email integration. A lot of people still want to access their information from the Outlook environment or an IMAP or SMTP client. But for example, from Outlook, we can actually expose the whole Alfresco repository from within Outlook as folders. So not only can you, from an email environment, drag and drop emails into the repository, you can also link to files and content in the repository directly via Outlook, which means you're not sending a huge amount of data via email. Also means you retain the integrity of the data because you're linking to the content, not copying it, and you can have full audit trail where the content comes. You can also have an extent where you can actually have the email alias configured in Alfresco, which Alfresco will listen to, and when content comes into that, an email comes in, Alfresco will start a workflow and actually route that email and triage the content and find out exactly where it needs to go. And very more importantly, we provide out-of-the-box integration to key enterprise line of business applications like SAP. We can actually integrate directly to SAP. SAP, in essence, is actually one of our biggest customers. They use Alfresco extensively internally. We also have a Salesforce integration and many more third-party enterprise applications. But also through the web, we support all the web browsers. We also provide web content management capabilities, so you can actually use Alfresco for any environment. And then also support open standards like FTP, CMIS, and also all the key integration protocols like FHIR, etc. But if it's the open standards, means that we can integrate to any application. We can actually create your network shares to look like Alfresco, your Alfresco to look like your network shares. So when you're using network shares, we can actually directly from your network shares actually integrate into the Alfresco environment. And as I mentioned earlier, the platform supports a fully hybrid approach where you can support both on-premise and the cloud, but in a hybrid fashion where you can sync in between those when you need to share information. We support all key mobile environments. We provide both an iOS and an Android client, and we also support desktop sync to your mobile applications. But also more importantly, all our mobile clients also provides a full SDK, so you can actually build your own mobile applications on top of Alfresco as well. And because we're open source, we provide all the source code for your developers if you want to build bespoke applications. And through the desktop as well, as what I mentioned a bit earlier, as we support CIFS, WebDAV as well, and CMIS for integration to all third-party applications. So if we go a little bit more context there, what do we manage? Any content, any kind of unstructured information, whether it's Office, PowerPoint, PDFs, etc. All of that information can be stored in Alfresco. And if anything new comes on the market of a format, we can configure that to our repository. Our repository is fully format agnostic, so we can manage any kind of content. Also, any mobile environment we talked about, any web environment, we talked about the email, but also scanning. We integrate all the key scanning applications that's on the market today. I think Tara mentioned earlier about Kofax. We fully integrate into Kofax. We also fully integrate into Effisoft as well. But quite often as well, when you buy a scanner, it's already got pre-built scanning software in there. We can actually take the release scripts directly to Alfresco and capture the information. But one other key area we've managed as well is what we call rich media, digital assets. We're a full digital asset management platform. So this is managing rich media like video, sound, graphics. So for example, if you've got a bit of video footage, we can store that in the Alfresco repository. We can actually stream it from our repository. We can also create low-res renditions of that and actually index specific parts of a video. So if you want to do your own internal learning management systems and you've got a lot of video content you want to use for that, we can manage that in our Alfresco repository. But also managing rich media like images, photographs, digital images. We can extract all the EXIF information and geotag information from that and use that to build applications. And two examples of that would be the Dutch Fire Brigade use Alfresco, and what they got is iPads, and they got an image library from all the manufacturers, all the different vehicles, and they got all the key soft points where they need to, if there was an accident, then they need to know how to deconstruct the car. They take a picture of that car, and that car then gets uploaded to an image library in Alfresco and actually identifies the make and model of the car, and then tells the fireman on the scene where the weak points are of the roof and where to cut it and deconstruct the car. So a very useful use case on how you can do that. And also a lot of sound as well, so if you want to actually start capturing any recording of information, CCTV footage, all kinds of different use cases around managing the rich media. And we talked about cloud. Cloud's very important and it's being more adopted, so we can actually have an environment where you can actually have a hybrid environment where you can allow external people to collaborate with and also put your information into cloud if needed at the most appropriate time. Got a full workflow engine as part of it that Colin mentioned earlier, the activity platform that allows you to build review and approval workflow. So if you're in HR, for example, you want to actually do a holiday request review workflow process, we can do that. If you want to do an employee onboarding process, you can build that using the workflow process management. So there's a lot of forms that you can use to build capturing information. So it's not necessarily just about managing content. We also manage digital forms and content as well around the process as well. And fully records management, because being public sector, a lot of organizations need to ensure that the information is secure and managed to all the compliant, all the called guidelines. So Alfresco's platform is fully records enabled. But I think one of the key things there, we really believe that the records management has got to be completely hidden from the end user. So you can have retention policies set on locations where you store it, but you don't want users to declare records if they're just managing corporate information. So making it very simple to use and have quick adoption. We do have the full records management capabilities where you can allow the whole declaration of records, but that's probably more used in a more fully compliant environment. And then collaboration is key, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, how we can collaborate externally. So just a quick example here, there's some statistics of our very large-scale deployments of a billion document benchmark, so a very huge amount of information, and I'll just leave that for people to look at some statistics on that, but I think it's key to understand if you're going to scale out that you can actually do that and have a repository and a system that's going to be able to grow with you. The other key thing is how you find information. I think Colin and Tara mentioned this earlier, is if you've got a very large-scale enterprise content management repository, if you don't categorize and index the information accordingly, all you're going to end up is a very large-scale electronic bucket of uncontrolled information. So categorization, indexing is very key. That allows you to have Amazon-like search capability in the Alfresco repository. It actually does predefined searches. And when you start typing words in, it will actually start thinking ahead and give you multiple areas. And the more you type, the less the search becomes narrower because it actually realizes what you're saying. So you can have full text searching, you can have categorization searching, you can also add your own categories on the fly as you go through. So you can actually build a very rich media and a very rich way of you can categorize information in the repository. So it's very flexible in that sense. So you can actually have very easily and very quickly find the kind of information you're looking for. Here's an example of our mobile clients. It's very easy to use. You can actually have your own sites that you go in. So if you're working in HR, you can have an HR site, and you will always only see the information you want. But you can also mark documents or records or information as favorites, and they'll always be available online and offline. If you make any changes offline, it will sync it when you're back online. So very flexible application that you can use for multiple different types of users. One of the examples here at Liverpool Women's is they're actually creating a standard operating procedure or standard procedure for the new junior doctors onboarding, and they actually get a link to download the mobile client before they even join the trust to actually get all the standard policies and procedures they need to know before they join the trust, and they can access from their mobile devices. A little bit more just about digital asset management. Yeah, it's an example of video editing and playing videos from within the repository. So there's multiple different ways, and you can actually highlight each of those and index that, so you can actually search for specific parts of the video assets. And then if you want to transform into a low res, you can might stream from your website if you get to a later stage. So what are the Alfresco products? So the core Alfresco repository, as Colin mentioned earlier, was Alfresco 1 Enterprise, and that gives you the full repository with all the records management that you would need to use. Then our user interface that we provide on our Alfresco repository is called Share, and Share is a collaboration user interface, so obviously it gives you all the standard document management functionality and more, because it's not just about being a document management client for checking in, checking out, and version control, all the libraries that you expect. It's also a collaboration client, so you can have discussion groups, wikis, blogs, and you can customize it per site or per team that needs to work together. And you can have voting, you can have data lists, so if you want to actually create a who's who database and share information, it's very, very easy to use and very flexible. And we talked about the Outlook client, so we've got an Alfresco Outlook client you can use, full integration to the Office environment, also integrating to user experience applications like Drupal or Crafter, give you the full mobile environment, and then we have our workflow engine called Activity, which is an enterprise business process management platform that you can use to automate a lot of business processes across your organization. So a little bit of collaboration. I think we need to think about collaboration as just not within your organization or within teams. True enterprise collaboration is really where you're enabling you as an organization to collaborate with external parties. That could be suppliers, could be other trusts, it could be, for example, as being one of your patients. So there's a whole range of different people you want to come together and share information with. So this is really what we mean by collaboration beyond the enterprise. And you can have a lot of rules defined, but one of the key things when you're collaborating across the enterprise is it's very secure. It's not just within your environment. If you're putting information into a collaboration environment externally, you as the custodian of the data is always controlling the information. So we look at that a little bit more. So with our hybrid sync platform, we talked about Alfresco 1, which is the picture you're seeing at the bottom of the slide. That's where you store all your documents and records on-premise within your environment. But what you're able to do is say, actually, I want to collaborate externally. I'm going to create a site, and then I'm going to invite in my internal and external users and then link them into specific content that I want. From on-premise, I can then sync it up into the cloud, then invite the people to come and collaborate with. They can then get access. If there's any records management on-premise, it will make sure it coexists within the cloud. If there's any security, it will refine that security in the cloud. You're always in control of multiple different ways. So if somebody just wants to access that information from a mobile device and when they're on the road, they can do that. The third-party users or groups can get access to it. So everybody can collaborate. They can even contribute into this cloud environment as well. And then you can decide whether you want to make that part of the system of record or part of the record that you want then to put back onto the on-premise environment. So you always control how you collaborate the information. So you have full security on that information, and you have the full governance on the continuum of the information. So if you have the full records management, that makes sure that's always in control. So if anything needs to be destroyed based on retention rules, it will make sure that happens both on-premise and in the cloud in the hybrid fashion. So with that, I think I'm more or less finished on time, I hope. So I will now open it up to any questions.
Yep, so I suppose given that we're nearly out of time, I'll ask John and Tara to pick one question each from the list, and we'll go for those.
Okay, I'll have a wee look. I'll take the first one if that's okay. So the question is actually, can you give a best and a worst case scenario for the migration duration? It's such a hard question. As we talked earlier on, every customer deployment is going to be different. The best way to kind of quantify it is if we were to take a customer and look at a phased option for them, and that the actual scoping through to the model office and deployment, it can take on average about potentially 4 to 6 months. A migration it depends on how many documents you actually have, but the good thing is we've done full flight migrations, like full scale migrations of 6, 7, 8 terabytes plus of documents for customers, digitized paper records. But some customers, what they asked, because it's a long duration, they have asked us to give them the mechanism for them to do it themselves. We do a lot of handover during our deployments and make sure that all of our customers can be self-sufficient where possible. So although I haven't quite answered the question, I'm sorry, but we want to just make sure that we're able to empower our customers to be able to do this themselves, and we will make sure that a deployment will be in the shortest duration possible.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's how long's a piece of string? Well, if we can both work on it, it'll get a lot shorter, a lot quicker.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jean, if you can pick one of the questions.
Right, so I think one of the questions was asked, I think I covered this, is how easy is it to collaborate across the organization? I think it's as simple as inviting the third party in. All you need is an email address, and then they can come into the system and you can collaborate with them and share content with them. So it's not a huge amount of IT setup to allow to collaborate across the organization. All you need is a third party's web address, email address, and you can invite them to come collaborate with.
Awesome. Sounds nice and easy. In fact, I've used it before, and I know it actually is. All that remains for me to say is a big thank you to Jean, a big thank you to Tara for joining us today and really showing the strength of both implementation and knowledge and strength of product and bringing those both together to create really strong, successful projects. We'd like to keep the conversation going, so you can contact us through our email address, Evolve at kainosevolve.com. You've got us on Twitter there, Kainos Evolve, and you can visit us online. And just thanks for taking the time today, and we'll hopefully talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, Colin. Once you leave today's webinar, you will receive a survey on the presentation